Here tonight. I really do thank you for staying late like this. Appreciate your patience. And I also want to thank the staff here, the Sacramento Kings staff, from my front office group to the support staff, to the coaches. A lot goes in to draft night and draft prep, and a lot of people spend a lot of hours working to make things happen and presenting the Sacramento Kings in a very positive light while we try to find prospective players to come here who we think are going to help this basketball team moving forward. You know, I said to you all in my initial press conference that one of the most important things that I wanted to get accomplished this year is to establish an identity of what it means to be a Sacramento Kings basketball player. And so going into draft prep, and I've just been here 2 months, that has been our mission, what we work towards each and every day as a staff, as a group, to find players who are going to fit that identity. As a reminder, things that are important that we're going to value here: competitive, tough, team-oriented, accountable, disciplined, and professional. And so, you know, with that, we selected a young man tonight by the name of Nique Clifford from Colorado State, who we believe displays and lives a lot of those values that are important to us. So we're excited about that. Obviously, we were able to take advantage and move into this draft into the first round. We came into the night with not having the first round pick, but we were fortunate enough that we were able to get something done. He was a guy that we really targeted, and we had a really good grade on. And so we feel like we were fortunate to get there and get him. He's very versatile as a player. He's a two-way player. You've heard me say that before, and you're going to hear me say that a lot. A guy that plays both sides of the floor, and that's important to what we want to get established here. He's improved each and every year throughout his career. He's an improving three-point shooter. So again, we're excited to get him in the Kings uniform and help develop him, watch him grow. And I'm sure for the fan base here in Sacramento, you'll find what a quality young man he is the more you get to know him, and that's important to us as well. Someone who wants to be here and is going to assimilate himself very well into the culture here in Sacramento. So with that being said, I will open it up to some questions.
Hi Scott, how you doing?
Good, how you doing?
Good. Was Nique kind of the guy that you had your eye on? Were there a number of guys that you were watching to fall to a certain range? Walk us through how this kind of happened.
Obviously, he was one of the key guys that we looked at. There were a number of players that we did like in the draft, but again, in terms of fitting the identity, he was a small group of guys that we had really identified, and we were just fortunate enough to be able to get in that position to get him. And one of the things I said to all of you in the beginning too, when I first got here, we were going to be very prudent and opportunistic. So it all worked out tonight. We put a lot of effort into studying this draft and kind of finding out where we thought people may go, and really kind of surprised he dropped really to where he did, but happy that he did, and again, just excited to get to work with him.
Scott, walking into the building, did you enter today with the intention of moving into the first round? And at what point, when you noticed Nique would potentially be there, did you feel like you had to start making calls and pouncing?
Intention is a strong word, but again, like I said, being prudent and opportunistic. I think if it presented itself, we were going to be ready. And one of the things you do over a couple months, we talk to every team in the league, and you get there's a lot of chatter that goes in and around the draft, as you all know, and you in the podcast world for sure. I'm sure Matt keeps up with that. And so we were prepared, though, for it. And so we weren't going to be reckless. So it had to be someone that we really thought was worthy of moving into the first round to go get, that we feel like can help our basketball team, not only in the short term, but as we move forward, as we continue to build out this roster and this organization.
Okay. Scott, when you look at Nique and how he fits into your roster, can you just dive into that for us as well? And the fact that he's a 5-year guy, 23 years old, that factor into you guys to protect him tonight?
One thing for me that's always been important, is a guy's production and his arc of improvement. And I think he's demonstrated both of those things. And I know we live in a world now where a lot of the players that are selected high in the draft usually are, one and dones, and people, don't want to pass on the potential of a lot of the great young players. But for me, and getting a guy like this who is ready both mentally and physically to maybe step on the basketball court this coming season, I think is important. Now, obviously, he's going to have to come here and earn his stripes and show that he's worthy of that, but I really believe that he is up to the challenge. Enjoyed really getting the chance to spend time with him and talk with him when we were in Chicago. He was one of the young men we were able to interview and get the chance to meet, so felt like, had a good handle on him, and so looking forward to working with him.
Scott, I know some other things will be explained later, though, but once again, Kings have a guard, and it actually looks like an exceptional selection. But how are you going to juggle this type of thing when you're already guard heavy right now?
Well, here's a guy that played small forward in college as well, so he's very versatile. And I think if you look at the league now, it's about having depth. I mean, you look at the two teams that were in the finals this year and the ultimate champion in Oklahoma City. Both Oklahoma City and Indiana were very deep and very versatile, guys that could play multiple positions. This guy played with the ball in his hands. He can play all the perimeter positions. So it was just important to get the talent in here, and the rest will figure itself out. That's why we got Doug Christie in here as the coach, and I'm confident he's going to be able to figure that out.
Scott, when you bring up Doug, one of the player comps for Nique is Doug Christie. Do you see that? Do you see the type of player that Doug was when he was in the pros, and how do you think that will help?
They look alike, don't they? That's one way. There's some similarities for sure. I'm dating back to my memory bank, remembering Doug's game a little bit. Obviously Doug I felt was a very highly conditioned athlete and excellent defender, and could do a lot of different things on the court. I think so. The similarities in terms of defensive versatility, yeah, I see that similarity. But I want him to be his own player. I'm not when you get into comparisons, I never want to put that type of expectation or pressure on any type of player. I want him to be himself, his natural self. Now, if his natural self ends up looking like Doug Christie, then great for us, But I want him to be the very best Nique Clifford he can be, and I think this young man's going to give himself a chance to do that.
Scott, back here, how did you view the first round overall, just how it went, and and when it comes to Nique, was it a surprise that he went as low as he did in your eyes, if he was someone that you were kind of targeting?
He was someone that we had on our board a little higher than what we ultimately were able to draft him at, but that's the draft. You never know. As much as you talk to other teams, you really never know what's going on in their building, how they make their final decisions. Some teams you feel like you have a better guesstimate on than others. So being opportunistic and being ready, so when you see someone of that caliber that we had, ranked fairly high in this draft, we thought it was important to be able to take the opportunity to go ahead and make this trade and get him in our uniform and get him a part of our program.
Hey, Scott.
Yeah.
You mentioned Nique getting better year after year. How much do you factor that into just your evaluation of a player, and how much is it encouraging for continued growth from this point?
No, I think that's very important for any player, regardless of position or where they played at. It demonstrates to me the game matters to him, that each year he probably stepped away from the game and said, okay, what do I need to get better at? And he did the necessary work to show that improvement. So it can't stop now just because he made the NBA. We're going to expect that type of approach from him, and hopefully his career arc continues to change. Now, obviously, when you come into the pros as a rookie, you're playing against the best in the world. the speed of the game is a little bit faster. Some of the terminology may be a little bit different. So there'll be a little bit of a learning curve. But he's a guy who has exhibited very good basketball IQ as a collegiate. So I expect that to continue here. I expect him to be a sponge. And I expect our coaching staff will do a very good job with putting their arms around him and helping him develop in the very best way that he can.
Scott, your first move was the hiring of Doug Christie. This is your first player personnel move. I'm just curious from your perspective of hitting the ground running as the GM of the Kings, what you think about this first month and having this be your first player related.
Well, this month, first couple months have been a whirlwind, as you all know, and it seems like all the days run together. 2 months have really flown by for me, but it's been great. It really has been great. Again, working with the entire staff here, getting to know one another. You know, when I talk about King's identity, it doesn't just extend to the coaches and players on the floor. It extends to the front office support staff. You know, we're trying to build something special here as an organization and as a team. So that's what I really feel good about. I feel like the energy is coming together each and every day. So, and I'm excited that to be sitting here. We were able to make a move coming into this draft, and when I took this job, I was set on drafting just the number 42 pick, because you never know if you're able to make a transaction. But just the way things happened, it made sense for us to do that, we felt, and happy about that. And so really feel confident that Nique has a chance to be a contributor here for the Sacramento Kings.
Scott, are you able to characterize in any sense of just the atmosphere in that room, being here for your first draft, and just, I know there's a whole nother day to go, but I know people are...
Now, you know I was here for another draft once before, exactly.
That was a very busy draft.
Exactly. But go ahead.
Just how do you kind of characterize maybe that room, just, you know, the activity on your guys' end?
But some of you guys obviously are getting a chance to know me, you know, so I'm focused, I'm professional, but I'm easygoing too. And so I think the room, what I was most impressed with is everybody in that room is very prepared, but I also want to keep everybody loose and comfortable, and let's enjoy the journey and enjoy the process. So I think if you talk to anybody that was in there, it was a lot of hard work coming to the end, but throughout this draft process, but we had a good time. We had a good time in there as well, and looking forward to having many more together. We got another one tomorrow night. Now I've experienced a ton in this league, as all of you know, been around the league a long time, but this will be a first for me going to the second night of a draft, because before I'd still be up in the war room, or we'd just be finishing the second round. So I get a chance to go home and get a night's sleep before the second round tomorrow. So that's new for me, but I'm enjoying that too.
Scott, at 24, you talk about being opportunistic. Was that something that kind of came together at the end, or were you kind of eyeing that spot with Oklahoma City at 24 the whole night?
Yeah, you know, you work on a lot of different things throughout the process, and so you have a number of conversations that, you know, hopefully that you prepared for going into the night. So if certain things work a certain way, it makes for easier conversations. And you know, obviously, when you talk about Oklahoma City, you know, Sam Presti is someone that I work with in Seattle, and a friend, and so and obviously he's excellent at what he does. And so things just came together that made sense for both him and us. And that's when you talk about consummating trades, and that's why it's so difficult, because each team has an objective, and a lot of times they don't always align. But we were just fortunate enough in this situation for what they were needing to do, and what aspired to do, and what we wanted to do. There was some alignment there, and that's why we're able to complete the trade.
Scott, can you just speak a little bit to, you know, kind of your summer plans in terms of roster construction, what you feel like needs to be done here, how important the draft is in terms of that process, and whether decisions on players in the draft might correlate or not to sort of those broader goals?
Look, in the beginning, like we said, there's a handful of ways you can improve your team. This obviously everyone. It's the draft, free agency, and trades. So we're going through the draft process now to add to make our team better. We're looking to enhance the identity. So next phase, free agency, we want to enhance the identity of this basketball team to those 6 values that I mentioned earlier to you all. So once we're done with the draft, we turn the page there. We get ready for free agency on the night of June 30th, and we see what we can add to make this team better. And so when that is over, I'm sure I'll sit in front of you again and talk to you about the end of the free agency process. So, but right now, focus is on finishing the job tomorrow night with the second round, and see if we can get some additional help in the draft.
Hi, Scott. Congrats on night 1. Can you disclose the actual terms of the trade, especially with the protections?
Well, we traded a future protected 2027 pick, which was is the San Antonio pick that we held the rights to. So it's the 2027 San Antonio pick that's protected 1 through 16. If it doesn't convey that night, then it automatically kicks to 2 second-round picks in that same draft, ours and Charlotte's. So that is the conditions of the trade there.
Hey Scott, I was just wondering, what players currently on the roster do you feel like Nique complements really well, and what guys are you excited to see him play alongside?
Well, interesting question for me, obviously, because I haven't worked with this group. And the beauty of Nique is his versatility, and so I'm really looking forward to that, to see who he fits with. But I think he's the kind of guy that's going to fit with a number of guys on the roster because of that versatility. He doesn't have to be in just one particular spot on the floor to be helpful and to succeed. So that's the great thing about him. When you get someone that versatile, it's just really seeing what's going to be the best area or areas, and that's our anticipation, that he's going to be able to help in a variety of ways, as I said in the beginning, on both ends of the floor. And that's very important to us because, again, as you see the teams that go the distance, not only can they score, but more importantly, they're defensive oriented. They can all defend. And the more you move up the ranks, the better the teams get, and the better the teams defend, the better chance you have of winning and being successful.